William Herschel saw what he thought was a comet, but was actually the discovery of the planet Uranus. And in the year 1877, American Chester Greenwood patents earmuffs after inventing them at the age of 15. 1884 saw the siege of Khartoum, and that was in Sudan and began which lasted in fact 10 months. In the year 1903, the fall of the Sokoto Caliphate in northern Nigeria saw Britain claiming supremacy over 500,000 square miles of northern Nigeria. In the year 1930, a bit more astronomy history, Clyde Tombaugh announced his discovery of Pluto, and that was at the Lowell Observatory in Massachusetts. In the year 2003, the journal Nature reported that 350,000-year-old footprints of an upright walking human were found in Italy. And in 2019, on this day, the U.S. grounded all Boeing 737 MAX aircraft after bans by other countries following the plane's the type of that plane's second crash, which occurred in Ethiopia. We now move on to our dish of the day. The daily dish is brought to you the kind compliments of our good friends at Tiles Plus.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. With all kind of tiles, come down to Tiles Plus. We also black that's and vanity. Books, doors, you'll see. Come down to mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Lance Road in Castries, Bosses Grozile, and Slack Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939. Tiles Plus.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
And welcome back to the lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. And of course, right now, the Caribbean community is in fact speaking about deepening integration across the Caribbean. This has been a long-standing desire through initiatives coming out of the establishment of CARICOM, the Caribbean Community, back in 1974, and later on, the efforts at creating the Caribbean single market and economy, one economic space. Now, of course, one of the critical elements of that has been the matter of the free movement of people, the matter of being able to work in any or live in any part of the Caribbean. And of course, that is within the context of having a single market and economy. What we certainly have seen is that the ability for the movement of labor, of your human resources, is a very important aspect in economic development. You will find as time goes by, different places may be booming. Different places may have opportunities, and you will quite often need people to be able to support those opportunities. We have generally seen the Caribbean as very distinct places, distinct countries, and of course, everybody has their borders. Everybody has their immigration and customs departments and passports and requirements at each border to be able to have those various checks. And so we really have not been able to truly be an integrated single space. And certainly, of course, the issue of logistics, transportation has also hindered that process. And the ability to be able to move is very important. Now, if you think of it from even a very historic perspective, that was what was done by the original inhabitants of these islands. They moved back and forth from island to island without any need to present a passport or to have these sort of border checks and what have you. And of course, even later on, we saw significant movements of people across the Caribbean, and especially in the case of St. Lucia, for instance, and the islands, these smaller islands, many left to go into the Guianas, to British Guiana, as well as French Guiana and Dutch Guiana, and were very instrumental in the economic development in these places. It still is the case in Cayenne, for instance. People of St. Lucian descent were very instrumental in developing French Guiana, because French Guiana for a very long time was seen as a sort of a penal colony. The lands were not very fertile, and it was very challenging to develop, and so they were tended to be very underpopulated. Still is a significantly underpopulated place, French Guiana, as well as perhaps all the Guianas, with vast amounts of undeveloped territory, vast amounts of rainforest, untapped rainforest, or preserved rainforest. And so that was certainly a very important move for a lot of people in the early part of the later part of the 19th century and the early part of the 20th century to head towards the Guianas. In fact, we also used to go to Brazil and as well other places, including Panama, of course, we know, because of the Panama Canal, the construction there, first by a French initiative. The same gentleman who built the Suez Canal thought he could do it again in Panama. And then the Americans came in because of that initial project failed. But a lot of the labor came from the English-speaking islands in the Caribbean. Many individuals ended up dying in that pursuit. And of course, for other purposes, back and forth movements of different peoples from different parts, from Jamaica to the Central American countries, that was very common as well, and including Honduras and British Honduras and even Costa Rica. And you saw movements of even workers from these islands heading towards Cuba to work in the cane fields and so on and so forth. And so, of course, it only has continued to this current era, and it is something that we are, in fact, perhaps significantly challenged by, as we are also witnessing a slowing of our birth rate. So whereas perhaps back in the 1960s we had a significant population boom, that was, I think, the fastest point at which we were growing, that has significantly tapered down. And so we're having a population issue, not as much growth as we need. I don't even think we're actually meeting replacement rate at this point. And as well, we've got a significant level of migration that is still occurring, particularly amongst the skilled labor force heading to look for opportunities in North America, in the United States, Canada, and as well in Europe, in particular the United Kingdom. And that, of course, has meant that the Caribbean is, in fact, facing its own population challenges and potentially population crisis. The English-speaking Caribbean has largely been about 5 million people for quite a while. Jamaica, a little under 3 million. Trinidad and Tobago, about 1.3 million. The islands of the Eastern Caribbean, just usually about 600,000 or so. And, of course, another 400,000 or so in the Bahamas, another 200 or so thousand in Belize, and Guyana with a population of 750,000 or so. And that has largely been our our population base, which we've been thinking about for quite some time. However, the majority of the population in the region is actually not English speaking. One could say that they actually are Spanish speaking or Creole speaking. And when you look at countries like Cuba and the Dominican Republic, as well as Haiti, they in fact represent well over 30 million people in the Caribbean. And so the matter of how then this issue of regional integration continues to pan out certainly is going to be a very important aspect for our development. In particular, we're seeing what is going on with Guyana. And again, here you have a booming economy, and you do have greater demands for labor, no doubt. It very well will perhaps come to a point where Guyana will have labor shortages and will require additional labor in various sectors. And so the ease at which that is done will in fact work to the benefit of the Caribbean community and the stability of the Caribbean, and of course how well we can in fact grow. And so many things that we have been able to enjoy, even the establishment of the banana industry here in St. Lucia, came in large measure to expertise that came out of Jamaica, because they had a much earlier history of banana production, and so we saw a lot of input coming from Jamaican agriculturalists in our islands. And that's the reality of it. People will move and people will shift. You look at the United States of America, and this is a very good case in point, because originally the population of the U.S. was largely concentrated between Virginia in the south, Maryland, and into Pennsylvania, and New Jersey, New York. That was the real heartland of the United States of America. But since independence there, that population has consistently shifted west, and we've seen the rise of the Midwest region around the Great Lakes, and the boom towns of Chicago in the late 19th century saw a massive rise of population in these areas, and lots of migration. Lots of people coming from, New England to these places, but also coming from the outside for developing those regions. And of course, later on, as the United States continued to expand, you saw continued push west to the point where you now have California being the most populous most populous state within the United States of America. Well over 40 million people being resident there. And you're seeing shifts of people going out into the deserts of Nevada and Arizona to actually live. And so these shifts will continue to occur. The city of Dallas, for instance, the metroplex there, is in fact likely to surpass that of Chicago, which is currently, Chicago is currently the third largest metropolitan area in the United States of America, but it's in fact is no longer going to be that in about in less than 10 years, it's predicted. It's in fact going to shift down towards south, towards Texas, towards Dallas. And those shifts are going to continue. So the United States can speak about those kinds of shifts because it is one unified economy and one unified space. And the reality is that you are going to be seeing these movements of people depending on the economic fortunes of places. Michigan and its auto city of Detroit has faced a lot of difficulty over the years because of the shifting of industry. And of course, it's now called the Rust Belt as a result of that. no longer playing as critical an importance in the U.S. economy as before, as new areas are in fact opening up. So there has to be a level of flexibility and a level of agility within economic spaces so as to be able to react to the opportunities that may arise as these various places grow. And so, of course, it would mean, therefore, that people also sometimes and definitely need the ability to move around as well. So that's our dish of the day. When we come back, we're also going to be taking a look at Haiti and a pretty interesting piece on that done by Deutsche Welle. But we take that in just a bit.
This has been The Daily Dish.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. There's all kind of tiles. Come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gasway and vanity. Books, doors, you'll see. Come down, don't mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Land Street in Castries, Bosses Grozile, and Slack Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939. Tiles Plus.
And welcome back to the Lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. The number to call in, of course, if you want to contribute and tell us what's on your plate today, it is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. And you can also call in or message in to our WhatsApp number. That is 724-0008. Again, 724-0008. Now, we were yesterday discussing the ongoing situation in Haiti, and I did try to give some context to that as well. Sometimes we think about a place and, we just sort of dismiss it and just believe that this was always the plight of the people who lived in this country. And, you even hear some very fatalistic ideas somehow that these people are cursed, or these people brought it upon themselves because of and you hear about voodoo and these types of notions are sometimes touted by some people, but of course it is a much deeper story to share there in terms of Haiti. But we'll take that in just a bit. Let's try to take in one call before we continue that conversation. Good afternoon and welcome to the Lunchroom.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing, caller?
I'm fine, thank you. Can you clarify something for me? CARICOM being one single economic market, do we all have to have one single border?
Do we also have to have one single border?
No, do we have one border being CARICOM being a single market? Do we have one border?
Well, as of now, we don't. And I think that's sort of the challenge, right? We don't have a situation where if somebody lands, say, in Jamaica, once they land in Jamaica, then they can travel to St. Lucia without going through passport control. We do. You have to go through that all over again. So we don't. We have multiple borders as of now.
Well, the reason for me asking you that, I was listening very attentively during the former Prime Minister address on crime in Trinidad and Tobago, and in talking, he said that since we have one CARICOM single market, that it's touching that then you have no border. Because being a single economy, they have no border. So right now we cannot, playing as if we on our own, because you tell Trinidad you all have no border, meaning that all of us are just one, since we are a single market. But then later on in the speech, he was talking about something, and then he said, then we need to protect one another's borders. So I was confused.
I see. Well, it's not exactly correct to say that we have no borders. That's the ideal. That's the way perhaps we would want to get to, that there is one single an ability to move between islands, and that's not considered to be an international trip. But as of now, it still is. What we do have is that we make allowances though for individuals to move around without necessarily having a passport. So
the ID card.
you can use your ID card as well.
But you still need some form of thing to show.
Well, yes, you still do. Yes, certainly.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, and you would get that. I mean, once you travel, you're getting into an airport and you've got to get onto a plane, they do have to identify you to make sure that you are, in fact, the person who's supposed to be traveling on that ticket. But the idea that the identification is passport control, that's a little different. So yeah, as of now, it's still not a seamless process.
Yeah.
So in other words, if, for instance, if I fly to the United States right now and I land in Miami or in New York, I have to go through a passport control.
Yeah.
But then if I've got to go anywhere else now, to another city, fly into another city, I don't have to go through, I don't have to present my passport again.
Okay.
So that does not quite hold in the case of the Caribbean as of now. Yeah.
Also, I heard you talk about Haiti. I cannot understand how someone can take over the country, ruling the country, and yet you are throwing people out of their homes and have them on the street. You know, just parents with children looking for water. I was listening to one of the stories when the gentleman said that you throw them out of their homes and put them on the streets. They have to be finding places to rest, looking for water. If they need money, they can't even go back into their homes to say they can take money because you just feel you have the right to, because you're so upset with a country. You're going to at least leave the people in their homes. Maybe you ask them, do not come out, but you cannot just remove people from their homes and just have them on the streets like animals.
Sorry, who is throwing people on the streets?
What's that?
Who are you referring to?
In Haiti.
That people are being thrown onto the streets.
People are taken off their homes and they are put out on the street.
And that is being done by whom?
By the
gangs?
Barbecue.
By barbecue. Okay,
Yes.
that's what you're referring to. Okay.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
How can you just remove people from their home? Just have them on the streets like animals. People. Up till last night, we were watching another thing where children on their parents. They're just wandering in the street because you refuse to let them back into their homes. You don't want nobody coming in. The former prime minister cannot come in. Nothing can be done, and you just take over your own country. These are your people for you to be making them suffer like that. And nobody's trying to go in there to help those people.
Well, that's the slow process, and that's what we're hoping that can actually happen very soon. There has been the approval from the UN Security Council for that action to happen. We'd like to believe that the funding is in place now, and the United States has assured $100 million for funding the intervention force, and of course the commitment from the Kenyan authorities to provide manpower and to lead that team that will be heading into Haiti. So I don't know what that time frame is right now. I don't think we've heard like.
But when people's lives are at danger like that, people are living like that. That the process shouldn't be so slow, because you just going through all kinds of processes to get to that place. On people are suffering like that because a man and a group of his friends decide they're going to take over a country because they do not like who was there before and do what they want. And they even saying if planes try to come in, if the former president, they're going to shoot it down and all sorts of things. How can you let those people take over a country like that and do what they want? And I think it's time that they come in, they start,
and you see, again, I think part of the challenge that you face is that most Haitians believe that the current prime minister, who still is the prime minister, I think although he's indicated his resignation, he's still going to be the prime minister until the presidential council has been appointed, has been selected. But remember the backstory to this. Haiti has not had an election since 2016. Right, so we're talking about 8 years now. And in fact, I think the last set of elections were due in about 2019. They did not happen. You then had a situation where the terms of the offices of the various parliamentarians, those all expired. So effectively, even the parliament, it doesn't have a parliament. So there really are no lawmakers. And then the former president, Jovenel Moise, he was assassinated, right? So, and this is again in the heights of COVID-19 that occurred in July 2021. And then, of course, how all of that also occurred, 2 days before his assassination. The current Prime Minister, Ariel Henry, was appointed. And then, shortly after the assassination, there are a lot of big question marks about how that all occurred, whether there was collusion, whether there was a potential involvement. There have been some suggestions to that effect, that Mr. Henry, Dr. Henry, might very well have been involved in this assassination of Moise. So for a lot of people, a lot of Haitians, they see a situation where they have not elected a government. The people who are leading them were never elected. And so therefore the issue of legitimacy is a big one. And so you then have a power vacuum. And those who have the influence and the might, unfortunately, they've become sort of warlords. They're now exercising, a policy of might is right. So if I have the guns and if I have men who can, I'm now exerting that force upon what is going on. And what is even more concerning, of course, is that these gangs have now coalesced. They've come together, So, it's, I don't know if it's a Robin Hood kind of story, of a band of brothers coming together.
From the rich to the poor.
Well, they may very well be portraying that they're stealing from the rich, or they're trying to work in the interest of the poor, right? So they may be giving the impression that they have the interests of the common man, the common Haitian man and woman at heart. But of course, we're seeing how ruthless some of the actions have been as well. But in this situation, in the land of, where you have a situation where so many people are vying for power, it's going to be.
Haiti being a CARICOM country, do the CARICOM countries need any permission from the UN or anything to move in there? Because it's a sister nation. The defense forces from Guyana, Trinidad, Barbados, Antigua, and all of the cities, can they just move in and do something?
I do not believe that under the Treaty of Chaguaramas, the revised treaty, there is any provision for those types of actions. So that is actually still within the remit of the United Nations. And so for any country, Jamaica cannot decide where, things are really bad in Haiti, you're going to send a force across. There would have to be agreement from Haitian authorities that they want the support of the Caribbean community to be able to do so. But the other thing about it, too, is that we're speaking of a country of 10 million plus people, right? Port-au-Prince is the largest city in the Caribbean community, right? And Haiti is the most populous country in the Caribbean community by far. I don't think the other Caribbean countries have the capacity to be able to necessarily provide that kind of support that Haiti would require.
The way they was able to move in so quickly in Ukraine, why can't they do that for Haiti? Ukraine got support so quickly.
Yes. yes, it did, but then you see, I guess you have other issues here, and I guess they may argue in the case of Ukraine, there was a very clear aggressor, that of Russia, invading Ukraine. In Ukraine, there was a very well-established democracy, a government in place. It was, these were all defined. And so I mean, it's fair to say that there was a government to work with, a developed, government that could act and had the capacity to be able to respond to the invasion that it was facing, and so therefore you had people to work with on the ground. In the case of Haiti, unfortunately, we can see how the whole, again, that whole backstory of assassination and no real legitimate, properly elected government or democratically elected government, and then very weak state institutions. So those challenges too have plagued the response to Haiti. And unfortunately, of course, the other reality of it, caller, is that quite often Haiti has not gotten the kind of support and response. It unfortunately is not seen as being so important in the geopolitical landscape. You look at Ukraine. Ukraine is seen as a very important country. It's got nuclear power plants. It's got a significant agriculture, economic base. It's between Europe and Russia. It's seen as a potential member of NATO. So that may have been one of those other major issues there. Unfortunately for Haiti, it's not seen as this very critical member of the international community to that point. And so it doesn't have as much value in the minds of some of these other countries that they may necessarily want to use lots of resources to
But
deal
if
with
you
the
hear a
matter.
man telling you, if you try to come in there, it's going to be genocide in the country. That's how serious the means. So you cannot let somebody like that continue to do what he wants. Because he says if anybody tries to come, it's going to be genocide. And he's just going to be killing people senselessly. How can somebody do that? And how could you take so long in order to kind of free people from that kind of thing they're going through there?
Yeah, you are right, caller. It's obviously not a very good situation. Lots of very nasty things being said, very concerning things being said, and and of course it's clearly not a good situation. And unfortunately, it has not been a good situation for decades upon decades. And I think that is another part of the challenge there. So people sometimes figure, well, you know what, it's a hopeless cause. How we write off people. Yeah. This boy is hopeless. He's not going to be reformed. So therefore, we just forget about him, right? And for a lot of people, they just figure it's a hopeless situation, or it's not worth the effort, and completely disregard the fact that we are dealing with 10 million human beings who are going through a very, very difficult reality right about now. So, thanks very much for that, caller.
Okay.
Okay, have a good one. Now, at this point, we're going to take in our weather report.
Island Style's annual Easter clearance sale is here, and boy, do we have some exciting deals for you. Massive savings on tires to be had with discounts of up to 30% off store-wide. Buy all we have in the low stock model and watch your discounts skyrocket with a huge 50% off. Plus, get chip edge tires for as low as $1. Yes, we're clearing out our old stock to bring in the new. And that's not all. The Easter Bunny has added extra savings on toilet, tubs, bathroom vanities, tile tools, and so much more. It won't get any better than this. Jump on these excellent deals and visit our Island Style showroom in Cash Street, Rodney Bay, or Viewfort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. That's 8453. Sale ends holiday Saturday. When you think tile, think Island Style.
This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
And National of Coastal 1.1 is now time for your weather report as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Talamba. The forecast for St. Lucia Valley for the next 24 hours. Winds will be blowing from the east near 18 miles per hour or 30 kilometers per hour. The weather fair to occasionally cloudy with a few scattered showers. There is an advisory here which reads small craft operators and sea bathers are advised to exercise caution due to above normal seas. The forecast for the Lesser Antilles, fair to occasionally cloudy with a few scattered showers. And the weather summary. The Atlantic high pressure system will generate moderate easterly winds above normal seas across the eastern Caribbean region for the next few days. Weak and stable conditions associated with a shear line will cause occasional cloudy periods with a few scattered showers over the central and northern Lesser Antilles during the next 24 hours. Patches of low-level clouds drifting along the wind flow will cause a few showers over the remainder of the region during the forecast period. And this was the weather report as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Talamba.
This has been RCI's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 number 1.
Island Style's annual Easter clearance sale is here, and boy, do we have some exciting deals for you. Massive savings on tires to be had with discounts of up to 30% off store-wide. Buy all we have in the low stock model and watch your discounts skyrocket with a huge 50% off. Plus, get chip edge tires for as low as $1. Yes, we're clearing out our old stock to bring in the new. And that's not all. The Easter Bunny has added extra savings on toilet, tubs, bathroom vanities, tile tools, and so much more. It won't get any better than this. Jump on these excellent deals and visit our Island Style showroom in Cash Street, Rodney Bay, or Viewport, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. That's 8453. Sale ends holiday Saturday. When you think tile, think Island Style.
And welcome back to the lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. Of course, the number to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, it is 4523046. Again, 4523046, as well as our WhatsApp number, that is 724-0008. We've got about 16 minutes to go before the hour of 2 o'clock and the end of the program. And we've been discussing Haiti and the ongoing unraveling situation over there. One could say perhaps finally coming to a head. It has been disintegrating for quite some time now, and we're seeing perhaps some hope, some light on the horizon, but it's certainly still very unclear as to how things move forward. Of course, we did mention the issue of the gangs in Haiti, and in as much as they are, they're kind of coming together, but they also have their own conflicts as well between these gangs for territory, for control within different parts of Haiti, of Port-au-Prince. You've got gangs like the Bel Air gang, for instance, that are very influential. But there's an interesting piece by the BBC on the men fighting gang leader barbecue for power in Haiti. And it gives a bit of some bios on the various individuals who are involved in the process. So it first starts off an ex-cop who likes to give news conferences while wielding a high-powered rifle, and a young criminal as fond of starring in rap videos as he is of trafficking arms and drugs. These are just two of the gang leaders blamed for the surge in violence, which has engulfed the Haitian capital Port-au-Prince and led to the resignation of Haiti's Prime Minister Ariel Henry. Add a former rebel fresh out of jail in the US who plans on becoming president, and you get an explosive mix. With the country in limbo awaiting the creation of a transition government, we take a closer look at some of those jostling for power in Haiti. First, gang leader Jimmy Barbecue Cherizier. The 47-year-old former police officer may not be the most powerful gang leader in Haiti, but Jimmy Cherizier has emerged as one of the most visible faces of the recent unrest. Fond of speaking to journalists while clad in his trademark bulletproof vest, the man widely known as Barbecue leads an alliance of gangs called G9. Barbecue has been one of the most outspoken enemies of Ariel Henry, demanding his resignation ever since the latter was sworn in as prime minister. The G9 leader likes to portray himself as someone who fights for the common people and against the oligarchy. But not only has he been accused of leading a massacre in 2018 in which scores of people were killed, he was also behind the 2021 blockade of the Varro fuel terminal. G9's attacks on water and food deliveries caused severe shortages among Haiti's poorest. The lack of fuel caused by the blockade meant hospitals struggled to keep their generators running to provide crucial care. Quote, Barbecue has made vague demands of a more just and equitable system, but of course the irony of this whole situation is that the armed groups in the capital and around are creating the hell that people are living through, explains Haiti expert Michael Debeer. Barbecue claims to have united Port-au-Prince's notoriously quarrelsome gangs in a coalition called Viva Sam, Live Together. It is hard to verify that claim, but while so far no rival gang leader has denied it, any alliance is likely to be short-lived, according to Michael Debeer. These groups, quote, feud mercilessly with one another all the time. The journalist, author, and researcher at the University Institute of Lisbon, ISCTE, explains. Mr. Debeer says that the gangs appear to have found a modus vivendi while they try to tear down the pillars of the state. Quote, to what end I am not exactly clear, he adds. Chillingly, Barbecue warned last week that a civil war could erupt should Mr. Henry return to Haiti. The leader of the gang has not yet spoken since Mr. Henry said he would step down as soon as a transition council has been created. But judging by his previous warnings that Haitians should be left to decide Haitian affairs without any outside interference, the planned deployment of a multinational security force to Haiti will not go down well with him. Romain Lecourt, an expert at the Global Initiative Against Transnational Organized Crime, GITOC, says that Barbecue derives a lot of his power from controlling the capital's port and fuel terminal. Should international police forces be deployed to retake these key installations, Barbecue could see his influence diminish, Mr. Lecourt argues. Both Mr. Lecourt and Mr. Debeer warn that Barbecue is not even remotely the most powerful gang leader in Haiti, just the one who is most accessible to the media. Quote, a lot of the most powerful characters are people who don't give interviews to journalists, Mr. Debeer points out. And then we have gang leader Johnson Andre, or a.k.a. Izo. One of the gang leaders thought to wield more power than Barbecue is a 26-year-old known as Izo, or Izo. Izo differs from Barbecue, a former police officer, in that he came up through the gang hierarchy to lead the Village de Dieu 5 Seconds gang, explains Romain Lecourt. The two gang leaders share a love of the limelight. But Izo tends to use social media to publish music videos rather than to air his political views. The young gangster has released a number of rap videos and was even awarded a prize by YouTube for getting 100,000 followers. But behind the gangster bling facade is a ruthless criminal whose gang engages in rape, kidnappings, drugs, and arms trafficking, according to the United Nations. He is also accused of obstructing the delivery of humanitarian assistance. Romain Lecour, who has been studying Haiti's gangs for years, says what makes Izo stand out is the fact that he has managed to gain control of maritime routes in Port-au-Prince's Bay. That allows him to circumvent territory held by other gangs and lets him move weapons quickly. According to the UN, Izo has also exploited Haiti's fragile security environment to make money through drug trafficking, with some shipments reportedly arriving directly from South America in the Village de Dieu neighborhood he controls. In its report on Haiti's gangs, the Global Initiative Against Transnational Organized Crime traces Izo's attempts to expand his territorial control beyond the capital. His gang's incursions into Mirebalais, 35 kilometers north of the capital, triggered deadly clashes between members of his Sex-Regon gang and vigilantes, in which 30 people were killed. According to the report, at least 800 families fled their homes in the resulting violence. Mr. Lecour points out that Izo's drug trafficking and arms smuggling network will be particularly tough to break down, as it is very diverse, so much so that he does not even flinch from selling weapons to his rivals. And then another third biography is that of former rebel Guy Philippe, or Guy Philippe. Guy Philippe is another former police officer gone rogue. The 56-year-old helped lead the coup against President Bertrand Aristide in 2004. In 2016, he ran for the Senate in Haiti and won. But days before he was sworn into office, which would have given him immunity from prosecution, he was arrested on drug trafficking charges and extradited to the United States. He admitted taking bribes to protect narcotics shipments to the U.S. while he was working as a senior police officer. Philippe was repatriated to Haiti in November after serving his sentence, a move Michael Debert describes as pouring gasoline on an already raging fire. It did not take Philippe long to share video messages on social media in which he called for a rebellion against Mr. Henry. Guy Philippe has openly expressed his desire to be Haiti's next president. Asked whether his jail term could prove a stumbling block on the way to the presidential palace, he said, quote, referring to former South African President Nelson Mandela, Mandela was in prison. Hugo Chavez was in prison. Lula was in prison. And so, if my people believe and trust me, I will be their leader. It's up to my people, no one else. Mr. Debert points out that Philippe is not the only one to have expressed his presidential ambitions amid the chaos that the gang violence has created. The group that seems to be forgotten in this is the people of Haiti, he says, drawing attention to the humanitarian crisis, which has left an estimated 5 million out of Haiti's 11 million people facing acute hunger. And that piece coming out of the BBC just about 24 hours ago, giving some sense of the personalities, the individuals who are in fact leading some of these gangs and who in fact have garnered support among some people, in particular in Port-au-Prince, on this entire matter of trying to gain control of Haiti. Of course, we note that Haiti is a fairly wealthy country, if we were to just look at it on the basis of its mineral resources, and that has been touted many, many times. Of course, it is a former French colony, and France, as well as the United States of America, have been active participants in the post-independence situation in Haiti. Of course, very famously, the matter of Haiti having to, in fact, pay France reparation for the loss of its colonial interests. Had 90 million francs being requested of Haiti for many, many, many decades, so that debt could be repaid. And of course, in the case of the United States as well, also using the Monroe Doctrine, many interventions there, and interference by placing certain individuals to have control over that country has led to many years again of sometimes stability, but of course lots of corruption within the mix as well. And this has been sort of, well, if you want to use that term, the real curse that Haiti has befallen. Lots of external interventions that quite often don't really work out in the greater interest of the state. And it is, of course, a country that has a very rich history, long-standing connections with the rest of the Western Hemisphere. There's been a suggestion that the United States, for instance, would not have been able to have expanded west of the Mississippi, and they would not have been able to have effected that Louisiana Purchase had it not been for the power and the pressure that that was caused by the Haitian Revolution. It caused certainly a significant bankruptcy and challenge with the French authorities, to the extent that I think back in 1803 or so, a decision by France, in fact, to Napoleon to actually sell all those lands, which France, in fact, had a significant amount of land in the Mississippi River Valley, which, of course, is now all under the control of the United States. So, yes, Haiti is certainly has had a very, very dogged history. And this one, hopefully, we can say is only going to be another moment in time that the Haitian people will be able to overcome, and they will be able to look back and say, yes, we have been able to, in fact, overcome all these major challenges, all these major powers who have tried to take control. Let us hope that they can, in fact, achieve that onto their journey to rebuild a state named, in fact, in honor of the original name given by the Taino people who lived on that island before the arrival of those Spanish conquistadors, that of Haiti, the land of very high mountains. That's our program for today. We do hope that you can join us again tomorrow for another program, and we'll be back again. I'm your host, Calix George Jr., saying goodbye.